Welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm your host, DJ Impact, and I have all of the bad boys here with me this evening. First off, we welcome everyone with being a part of our show, and we ask that if you have any comments, to definitely put them in the comments area in our live video section, and we will do our best to try to get them in when we can. So hello and welcome to all of you. We're going to start off here with our wrestling talk, and what better way than to start off than with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Finally, the G1 has come to an end, fellas. I mean, Sin City, let me just tell you, the winner again, second year, Kota, let me get this right here, Ibushi, defeating Sanada. Man, were you shocked to see? Say it again.
Was it a Hyundai?
Was it?
Oh my gosh. Jesus.
Well, I guess what you're doing is if this whole thing don't work out, you're working on your career in comedy.
Stand up. We're in the perfect city for it, baby. Vegas.
Okay, Sin City. What were you shocked to see Kota end up taking the win this time?
Actually, when it came down to Sanada and Ibushi, I kind of saw the writing on the wall that Ibushi would win it for the second time in a row. Incidentally, Kota Ibushi is the third wrestler, along with Masahiro Chono and Hiroshi Tenzan, to win two consecutive G1 Climax tournaments.
Yeah.
But he is the first wrestler in the history of New Japan to reach the finals 3 times in a row.
Wow.
So
yeah,
that's really cool. And the only thing that I hope is that hopefully at Wrestle Kingdom in January, that he and Tetsuya Naito don't try to go out of the way to drop each other on their fucking heads 80 times, like what they tend to do every time they wrestle.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was just gonna say the thing that's really cool is the finals. The match between Ibushi and Sanada was actually the longest match in the history of the G1 tournament. It was 35 minutes and 12 seconds.
Wow.
So yeah, both guys did go out of your way if you have any interest in Japanese wrestling. I think that it was a solid match from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And without question, both guys brought it. It was an amazing match.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of that, and I can imagine if what I saw how it ended was kind of how the 35 minutes match took place, and it was definitely an exciting match to watch. I'll tell you what I was mostly shocked about when I was watching or reading up on what happened, and I have to go back and actually see this for myself. Okay, Will Osprey, right, turns heel by betraying his mentor. Now, let me get this right. I know it's Okada, but let me start off with his first name. Is it Kazuchika?
Very close. Very close. Yeah. Kazuchika.
Kazuchika.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick.
How is that very close?
That's not close at all.
Hey, I'm just trying to make Impact feel better about himself.
Yeah, okay? Man.
Thank you.
Calm down.
We have a game called
effort.
Japanese names with Impact.
Dude, I'm telling you, we need to do something like that.
You know, DJ, you dodged a bullet by marrying an Asian woman named Lisa.
That's what I'm saying.
I did. I appreciate her for having a name I could say. But yes, Okada, right? So he betrayed his mentor, and the Chaos faction. Now he had helped in this betraying with his girlfriend, I guess, Priestley, right, who's with AEW, and also the return of the Great O-Khan, right?
Yeah.
The Great O-Khan.
Anyway,
into a sound bite.
Wait.
I'm just saying right now, man, if you have to save my life to say these names right, I'm fucked on the rival.
Well, hey, let me be. I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not fluent in my Japanese pronunciation. So there's many more to come, like this one here, aka Tomoyuki Oka. Sin City, close.
Nailed it.
Hey, honestly, you could have done a whole hell of a lot worse, Impact.
Okay.
So
Anyways,
proud of you.
so look. Anyway, he when he betrayed Okada, pretty much you had his girlfriend there, and then you have the return of Tomoyuki, right?
Mm-hmm.
This helped give Will Osprey the win. Now, this is the second time in 2 years that Chaos Stablement has, I guess, done this to poor Okada, which I don't know why this keeps happening to him. But I guess the question becomes is, are the folks that helped him, are they a part of Will Ospreay's new faction? And if so, like, who's going to help him? That's the first question, Steve. The second one is, what role would Bea Priestley play in this if she's pretty much a talent at AEW?
Well, so here's the thing, just to kind of set something a little bit straight. Actually, Bea Priestley is no longer with AEW.
She is, okay.
So she's actually working for the Stardom promotion in Japan, which Stardom is basically the sister promotion of New Japan. They're both owned by the same exact company. So they do a lot of talent loan and talent exchange and things like that from time to time.
Okay.
So I think that we could see more of a pronounced impact by Bea Priestley, but also from the other members of the Stardom roster in New Japan, which I would be completely fine with. That's something that they are lacking, is having, women representation, female representation on their shows.
Right.
But obviously up until this point, it's been something to where you've had the men's promotion and the women's promotion, and they haven't really kind of brought them together.
Right.
One thing that really kind of stands out to me is this was something that I think Osprey is going to he's going to elevate his game even more than what he did about a year ago when he said, I'm not a junior heavyweight. I want to be in the heavyweight division. He put on some muscle mass, changed up his wrestling moveset a little bit, didn't do so much of the crazy aerial, YOLO dives. And he's just been a lot more hard hitting, a little bit higher impact, no pun intended, in his moveset. And I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to fill the void of the Chaos faction, which for all intents and purposes is basically done. They've been kind of a loose faction for a couple of years now, where members would come and go. Sometimes they'd rep the Chaos brand, sometimes not. So I think that right now you really don't have a whole lot there other than Okada. And I think that this is going to be a time where they just kind of, shuffle that faction to the side, unless Okada gets some buddies, and then they go the exact opposite way and, branch out and actually kind of flesh out the ranks of Chaos. Gotcha.
So the only thing next, I guess, we got to look for New Japan will be the Road to Power struggle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be awesome. One thing that we did see was Jay White. Jay White kind of interrupted the post-match proceedings, said that he was going to be taking the championship title match, which obviously the entire G1 tournament was to give somebody a title match at Wrestle Kingdom. So that title match traditionally is on the line at events up until Wrestle Kingdom. So Jay White kind of threw his hat in the ring as being one of the people to, say, hey, I'm gonna wrestle you for your title match opportunity. Right. So we'll see how that goes. White and Ibushi, I think that will put on an amazing match for sure.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Go ahead.
Steve, I got a question for you. Do you ever see Osprey or Jay White coming back stateside to a major promotion?
So ultimately, the thing is, Osprey absolutely loves it in Japan. According to everything that I've read and everything that I've seen, they really respect his work ethic. They really respect, his mentality on professional wrestling. I don't necessarily see Osprey going to WWE. I could see him going to AEW, but the thing is that kind of, dissuades me from actually being all in on that is they had their opportunity. They had B. Priestley signed to a contract, and Will's contract actually came due in New Japan while B was on the AEW roster. I had made comment that, that AEW signing B. Priestley may be a way for them to kind of, get a foot in the door and bring in Osprey. But when Osprey re-upped his deal with New Japan, I think that ship may have sailed, at least for the short term. As far as Jay White, he, for all intents and purposes, he is the leader of Bullet Club. As of right now, Evil technically is, but they're going to be feuding, and I'm sure that that's going to be something that's put in the balance of their feud. So I don't think that Jay White's going to make the leap, only because they're going to give him everything except for the heavyweight championship on a platter. They love what Jay White's done, and realistically speaking, Jay White was somebody that, before he got mixed up with, the Switchblade gimmick and, doing the Bullet Club stuff, a lot of people were kind of lukewarm on him, but he's really found a foothold with doing his thing with the Switchblade gimmick and then with the Bullet Club.
Plus, he has to go against Rice. That's the biggest thing, because then you'll have White on Rice.
All right.
See, I won't be the only one doing stand-up.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be opening for him, apparently. All right.
Actually, the South Point has an open mic night every Saturday night. So I'm just saying.
Catch me at the South Point, baby.
There you go. Well, thank you for that, Sin City. New Japan, if you didn't get a chance to see the G1, you can go watch the repeat of that. It's worth seeing if you get a chance. And then we can watch the Power Struggle and see how that comes about. All right.
New Japan World, man. New Japan World is 9.99 yen, which translates to just under $10 per month. And it's amazing.
It's worth it.
Just like how the WWE Network is, you can go back and watch cards from 20 years ago. All the way up until now. They have both Japanese commentary and U.S. commentary done by Kevin Kelly from ROH fame and WWF fame back in the day as well.
Perfect. All right. Let's move over to names I definitely get right. From WWE Raw, we're going to jump over to there. And King Lucky, a lot of things was happening. We had the continuation of the draft among so much other things, man. Lead us into some conversation.
Well, I just got one question for you.
Yeah.
Who wants to walk with Elias?
That
was probably my biggest.
I don't understand you, man. I don't understand you. You big on Elias, right? And I'm not saying Elias in no means is weak sauce, but you don't like Lars Sullivan. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it, man.
Hey, Elias is talented, baby. It's that simple.
Yeah, how do you compare the two?
Elias can play a guitar.
I'm comparing the two because Elias been hot for what, 4 years?
Dude, Lucky's just mad because Lars is a good in-shape version of Lucky.
I guess.
Was good.
Obviously, it's still fucking beard.
There you go.
Oh shit.
Hey, stretch your eyes, King Lucky. Stretch your eyes like Lars be doing, like.
Yeah.
And you write your name in fucking electrical tape.
Yeah, put it on your ass.
Hey, listen. No real surprises from Monday Night Raw. I mean, a lot of what we saw. Braun Strowman, I called it. I said he was going to be on Monday Night Raw because that's what was happening. I called it. Shirt coming soon, baby. I called it.
Hey, Impact. Can we get a fucking tally for him? So every time he claims something he did, we can just keep a tally.
Hey, your day is coming real soon, Simon Street. You got to wear that tattoo, okay? How about that?
Look, my neck is ready, bro. Worry about yourself.
If you want to tally, he, by all means, the one to go through all things and keep this tally. Because
I lost count of how many times this brother right here then talked about he called it. I need a historian to start me off.
All right. Riddle, Street Profits all went over to Raw. I was surprised a little bit that Corbin was staying put, and that Apollo got, sent back so fast. But you know what? Overall, I thought it was an entertaining show. I was surprised that Lana got the title match. So all those weeks of getting beat down and destroyed, she's
no longer taking the punishment for Miro jumping over ship, huh?
Wait.
It's because she was banging. She was banging. That's why.
Wait. Anyone who considers a match with Asuka,
right? That's what I was saying.
She's getting her ass fucking kicked now. She's going from ticking tables into literally being punched and fucking kicked as hard as possible.
Yeah, you do realize she's going to lose in like 10 seconds, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Or if it truly is punishment, about 7.5 to 8 minutes of just irritatory.
But she still gets to have her name on that marquee, right? As going for the women's championship, right?
I mean, yes.
You got to say she was in a big pay-per-view match, baby.
Right.
That's about as solid and permanent as the most winningest champion is Natalya. Ain't nobody cared about that shit. No offense, Natalya. Just nobody cared about it.
I'm a person that loves comedy, right? You'll see me laugh at all types of stupid and crazy shit, right? But I'm convinced now that I don't like Miz and Morrison. I don't like the dirt sheet. I begin to not find nothing they do entertaining. Is it just me? Is it just I get what they're doing, and is that what it's supposed to be doing?
It's working. They're supposed to be annoying.
They've always been annoying.
They're doing their job.
Yeah, but there was, I don't know. I guess, but when they first started off, it wasn't as bad.
Right
now, it's just kind of when
they're being heels. Impact.
Yeah, well, I get that.
You definitely did officially buy your house in Smartville.
There you go.
You're paying that fucking mortgage.
You definitely are.
Boom, baby.
Yeah.
Join the crew.
You're making King Lucky that much richer. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
Welcome to the kingdom, baby.
I guess so.
To the kingdom.
And did you guys like how they Miz
and Morrison in there?
New Day and Street Profits, how they just kind of switched over titles? Was that kind of legit?
I had no issue with it. That was cool.
Okay. All right.
Makes sense. At least they acknowledged it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And did something quick. It was corny. It was straightforward, but at least they acknowledged it. Because when the shit was going down, I was like, well, how does that work? Obviously, I just wondered. So I appreciate it.
For fuck's sake, you literally had to go, how does this work?
Okay, you know what? I wanted to see how it works.
Hey, he just wanted to call a beaver a beaver, baby.
Yeah, man, I want to see the beaver. God damn it. Show me the beaver. Raw showed me the beaver.
You're in Smartville too. Jesus Christ.
I'm not in Smartville.
Welcome to the kingdom.
Continuity, motherfuckers. Continuity. No, there was none. Take a look. Go do me a favor. After we're done with the show, get on Wikipedia and go take a look at tag team championship title histories. Okay?
All right.
Tell me how fucked up it is that the title history for the Raw championships and now the SmackDown championships mean nothing. They literally mean nothing at this point.
You do have a point.
Because they were what? They were just handed over.
They might be in the same boat as the Revival, but we'll get back to that a little bit later.
But to that point, the tag team division died in the sense when they had to make championship belts for both brands.
Right.
You know, that's it. They've ignored the tag team division essentially for the longest of time. You honestly, do you really need two tag champions?
No.
Why is it not a floater? That's the thing that still gets me too, is why they don't have one or two titles that are floaters between the two. Might as well.
That it's bound to come around again where they condense all the belts and they just have, you know, I mean, especially with the climate that we're in right now, I wouldn't write it off.
Too much talent. They got too much talent to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the title mean a little bit more.
You know
what I was legitimately hoping was during that backstage segment that they would have said, okay, New Day, you have these championships. Street Profits, you have these championships. Let's just put them all on the line tonight in a unification match. That's what I was hoping for. But instead they were like, oh, well, you just hand them over to the other team.
Well, yeah, that's like I said.
Get out of here.
I thought it was a little interesting. Just like
I thought it was funny that way.
Okay,
because it was just like, oh, so that's all we do. We just switch red for blue. Is that all we do? Okay.
But that shows two things. One, there's too much talent that you have to work into every show to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and number two, again, they're title belts. They really don't mean much, essentially. That too many people now put too much emphasis on the titles meaning that much. That's really not the key. You know, the fact of the matter is that it's a show. They're really selling the show aspect of things.
Yeah. And
that's really it. Because if you want to get down to it, the fact of the matter is, does it matter? Because even when someone like Brock Lesnar has the belt, people bitch and complain, oh, well, he doesn't defend it. Well, he's an attraction. You know, so there's different ways to look at it. And, you know, in the end, what the fuck? I mean, they're tag team championships for two different brands. Doesn't matter.
Okay, I got it. Was there anything else you guys enjoyed from Raw this past week?
Ricochet's little acting ability.
Yeah, that was
that was cool. Channeling a little bit of Eddie Guerrero, and especially Eddie's birthday was not too long ago as well. Yep. So I wonder if that had something to play into it specifically, but it was just really cool to see. And thankfully we finally have the end to that storyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Let's hope. My God, let's hope.
Let's hope, because let's just be honest. I mean, King Lucky complained about it last week. I mean, the whole Seth Rollins and the Mysterio family isn't going away anytime soon. So I would love to see it close.
Obviously not.
And by the way, I did enjoy Seth, you know, walking up the ramp there.
That's what I was just getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. Running the AJ Styles and caused that little friction there.
And then that match was pretty good too. I mean, you know, three of the top tier guys, you know, any way you want to slice it, it was a good match. So
yeah. Well, cool guys. That's your Monday Night Raw as it's leading towards.
Didn't we miss like the biggest fucking thing that happened? Didn't it happen on Raw? The Fiend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Talk about it.
I'm just making sure that this actually happened and I wasn't fucking high.
But aren't you always?
Yeah, the Fiend he got drafted and he showed up as well with his boo.
Ain't his boo, it's his side chick. It's his side chick.
Side chick. There you go.
It's his side chick. He ain't one-on-one with her like that. Just periodically.
So are we gonna see Kevin Owens become a part of that universe? I think it'd be great if they started doing the Fun House with Kevin Owens and Bliss and Bray Wyatt.
That's
The
not
only
going to
problem
happen.
with that,
not
Mr.
gonna
Michaels, is that Kevin Owens, as per my call, went over to SmackDown.
Exactly, and it was made official on Friday. So I mean,
So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't know if we'll necessarily get that on Raw.
Well, then the question is, why the fuck were they even fucking with it?
because sometimes people just fuck with things just to fuck on instead of fuck with.
Maybe
When you fuck on, you're just fucking for the time being. But if you're fucking with, it's continuation. He was just a
so.
How
So
the fuck-
anyway, thank you for muting him. I would have done it if I had the magic button. But no, I honestly, to answer your question, Michaels, I think that it's because they knew that both guys were going to be flip-flopping brands and that they were literally two ships passing in the night. Even though, I should have said the word figuratively when I said literally, but whatever. So you have two people that are on, that one guy going from Raw to SmackDown, one guy going from SmackDown to Raw. So why not give them a couple of week program, see how people react to it, because they're not going to be interfacing with each other for another year. Plus, who knows? Maybe
they go back to it.
maybe this does set Owens down a different path on the new brand.
Oh yeah, yeah, because now he'll be the heel and Aleister Black will be the face.
Why not? How many times have they turned the Big Show?
Oh, I don't mind the turn. I just don't want to see those two again.
Trust me.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump over into Impact Wrestling,
Yes.
which you can catch on Tuesday nights on the greatest channel in the world, Access.
everybody has it.
The greatest channel that no one has access to.
Except
There you go.
Impact. Except Impact.
Except Impact.
Hey, they definitely get their viewership from me. So at least that one, guys, comes from me.
But at least there's one.
150,000 other people got it.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
as you know,
But that also means that DJ Impact's got to pay $400 for a DirecTV package.
That part.
yeah. Well, you know what? It works when you call them and threaten them and say, you know what? I'm thinking about jumping over to YouTube TV, so you need to drop that bill down. And normally they go, oh yeah, okay, not a problem. That's how you get around that. Anyways, yes, everything is leading up to this big weekend of Bound for Glory. So this is what this show concentrated a little bit on. Started off, of course, with EC3 and Moose. EC3 is still taunting Moose, and that's how the show started. Apparently last week, I told you that it looked like he dropped this belt on a bridge, although it wasn't really a bridge. Well, apparently he didn't really drop it. He didn't really drop it because he had it in his hand to taunt Moose again, which Moose says, oh, I know where you're at and I'm coming to get you. So we'll talk about that towards the end of the show when that happened. But Fallah Bahh, right? He is the best man. We still have a wedding coming up, guys, in 2 weeks for Bravo and Rosemary. Okay, it's going to be a beautiful wedding.
I thought Miro was the best man.
Not Miro. On the other show, he's the best man. Hopefully we get a wedding for that too. It's wedding season, guys. So anyway, in 2 weeks, we hope to see that. So Fallah Bahh, remember last week I told you Bravo was complaining about the fact that this wedding's costing a lot of money. So Fallah Bahh went back there and and stole the money, a big wad of money from Hernandez. Okay, so this past Tuesday, Fallah Bahh finally comes back in the room and they're like, hey, Mr. Best Man, did you find that money you said that you was gonna find? And Fallah just kind of went like, I don't know what you're talking about. What money? At the same time, this big bulk of raw cash is coming out of his chest here, and Crazy Steve is noticing that looks a little awkward. And as he exposes him about that, it caused a match to happen in the ring. So they end up fighting. And of course, at the very last part of the match, Steve ends up ripping off that shirt, and there's a big wad of cash, which now Fallah Bahh is trying to hold and keep to not show. So I'm sure Hernandez is going to eventually find out he's got this money and go get all up in his ass. But as of right now, Bravo still doesn't have this money that he needs. That's very, very, very expensive. So I don't know how this wedding going to come out, guys. We have to tune in to see what happens to that.
Is it me, or is it just sad that Impact Wrestling doesn't have enough money to actually take care of the wedding, that has to do it out of his own, or what's his face has to do it out of his own pocket?
I know, right? Well, hey, it is what it is, man. You know, Rhino, Heath, you know, here we go. Heath is still not signed.
That's
and
Impact doesn't have the money.
But Rhino went to bat for him and said, okay, look, man, they're going to give you an opportunity. Okay. In fact, they're going to even give you the contract that you came with. Because remember, he offered them this contract that they looked at him and was like, dude, please. You know, only megastars get this type of contract. You get this contract. So Rhino worked it out so he can go, hey, in this Bound for Glory match, they're in something called a Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. And it's going to have a lot of people in there. AC Romero, Larry D, Tenille Dashwood, Taya Valkyrie, Brian Myers, Tommy Dreamer, Havoc, and may even be a few more. But also Rhino and Heath is going to be a part of this, right? So here's the deal. One of the two has got to win. If either one of them wins, Heath gets the contract and the contract that he wants. But if either one of them lose, not only will Heath not get hired by Impact Wrestling, but Rhino contract goes away as well, and he becomes fired. So, boy, this is going to be tough, man. I hope one of those two actually win this Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, but this is what it's come down to. You know, will Heath finally get in, and will Rhino still have a job? Kylie Ray, all right, she had her match against Kimberly. It was actually a really, really good match to see. Kylie Ray, now, if you remember, I was telling you, she kind of last week, her behavior was changing to become a little bit like Su Yung, which she's been trying to stop Susie from becoming.
You got a serious mean face too.
Yes, absolutely. And she's still upset that Susie's arm got broken by Deanna. So she had her match with Kimberly, and she won that match by submission. But after that bell rung, Kylie Ray did not let go. And Kimberly, of course, was in pain, caused Deanna to eventually get in the ring to try to stop her. And then Kylie Ray eventually whooped up on her. And she had that same expression again. So looked like Kylie Ray is really about to go over to the dark side. I'm assuming that when her partner comes back, and you know they're going to transition into these ultimate heel tag teams, which would be different from Kylie Ray, you know. But she's definitely you know, showing her skills in the ring and her acting ability. So I'm sold on it. And she does have her match coming up.
So she's a second-rate Alexa Bliss.
Well,
hey man, they're trying, okay?
Alexa
But you know
Bliss
what?
from Wish.
But you know what? Technically, she was doing it before Alexa Bliss, if you really think about it. No one's feeling that.
They got WWE taste and Impact Wrestling budget.
Yeah, you can think of it that way.
Well
so Eric Young, of course, he came up in the ring as he wants to know what's going on with which one's feet after he keeps on attacking it because he don't want to wrestle this guy for the belt. And so right now it's up in the air at this point in the middle of the show. Is Rich going to even be able to fight Eric? Eric decided to say, look, I'm going to hijack the show until someone let me know if I'm going to be fighting this guy or not, which, of course, brings out Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore hits the ring, have a discussion with him, and what do you think happened? Eric beats Scott's ass. And I mean, he took an ass whipping. In fact, if someone's an executive, I don't understand why no one, like from security or like how you take a 5-minute ass whipping in the ring if you're an executive, you know. But eventually, Rich,
because they got no money for security anymore.
Which is why Heath keeps getting in too, right? Yeah. So, but hey, Rich actually he miraculously showed up and started beating up on Eric. So I guess his his foot is not as bad. And then Scott was able to let Eric know that, yeah, you will be still fighting Rich for the Impact World Championship. So that's going to be going on. And then, of course, finally, Moose finds EC3 on this bridge. And they eventually start fighting on this bridge, going back and forth. And the show ended with Moose getting his TNA title back and EC3 looking all beat up on this bridge, which I found pretty interesting considering that they're going to be fighting at their pay-per-view. So I don't know why EC3 would kind of take that small beating that way, being that he really hasn't even fought yet. I mean, if anybody, he needs to be the one that's, on top at the moment.
Well, he's preparing himself for 2 months from now when he's literally living on a bridge.
Damn.
Control your narrative.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's pretty much all of Impact right there. Again, Bound for the Glory is this weekend. So the Impact World Championship, we get a chance to see Eric Young and Rich Swann. The Knockouts Championship, Deonna Purrazzo and Kylie Ray. The Impact World Tag Team Championship, I haven't talked much about them, but there's been a lot of things going on with them. Motor City Machine Gun, Good Brothers, Madman Fulton, Ace Austin, and the North. So it'll be all of them going for that tag team. The X Division, you got Rohit, Chris Bay, Jordan Grace, Trey, TJP, and Willie Mack. So that should be really good to see. And of course, again, that Call Your Shot gauntlet match will happen with everyone else. Moose and EC versus EC3 should happen. And some weird Ken Shamrock, Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards. I don't get that storyline at all, but anyway, they're going to have a match. And that's going to be your show this weekend. Overall, I think it's going to be a really good pay-per-view. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
So Impact, I got a question. So what time do we show up to your house since you're the only one that has it going? What time we show up? What food item or drink do we bring?
That's funny. Well, we'll have to talk about that later. Let's jump right over into our WWE NXT, where we have Matt Michaels can let us know what your take was on this show.
Let me refer to some notes here.
Yes.
Because the more time gets away, the more it's like, oh, what the fuck actually happened?
Right. I understand.
The initial first match with Strong and Fish versus Birch and Lorcan was a very solid match. Strong and Fish, that was the right move to have them tag up a little bit, because you'll be able to use them in a capacity of potentially building up younger teams.
Yeah.
So that is it's a good move. Ember Moon talks great.
You're still not sold on her yet, man?
Just in general, it's just like, all right, I don't know. There is so much more talent than there was when she got hurt, literally. It's remarkable how quick the women are developing.
Sure.
So it's really hard to get excited by someone that has already been kind of mitigated to mid-card a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's, until I see what they're doing in matches with her, then that might change a little bit. But speaking of, you got, I don't know where they're going with this Atlas and Adonis and Swerve coming in, and felt clunky in the middle, but they're obviously trying to again continue to kind of get guys like Jake Atlas a little exposure, which is great.
Yeah.
Gargano in theory stole the show.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Listen, when in doubt, just put Gargano or put Ciampa in a fucking match.
Right. Yeah.
You're good. You're good. It's just, and everything Gargano and what's your face, Candice LeRae are doing right now is just
Mhm.
it's spot on, because you actually now have, remember Gargano was very plain. It was very, Johnny Wrestling, like, was so all American type feel, just so. But now you can see that they're fucking having fun, and it's great. I mean, that's awesome. The same thing, Candice LeRae coming out on top of that match was perfect. Also setting up the announcement for Shotzi then to come out and do the announcement of the Wheel of Death, essentially. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens with it. Interesting though that it was both LeRae and Gargano who are going to be participating in those matches.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I got a feeling we're going to see probably those two, taking the brunt of whatever the fuck these matches end up being.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. Tony Storm.
Storm, baby.
Here's the
Look,
thing.
you need a cold shower over there.
Right.
Tony Storm is fucking amazing, hands down. The problem was that you put her with Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I give the girl all the credit in the fucking world for coming where she came from to where she is now.
Yeah,
that's great.
You're talking about Aaliyah, right?
Yeah, Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I think that Aaliyah's best served ultimately, honestly, becoming either like a backstage presence in terms of like on camera, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't know.
What is she missing? What is she missing? What is wrong with, like, what's not connecting?
There's a certain thing. For instance, look at Peyton Royce or Billie Kay. Those two, if you just look at them, you think that when they go into the ring, they're not going to be as competitive, right? Because they're not super huge characters in terms of presence, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're not your Ripley or
Mm-hmm.
Even but when they get in the ring, you can see that they can hold their own, and that's why they're on the main roster.
Yeah.
She still is not to that point where she can fully, I think, hold her own.
Mm.
And at this point, I don't think it's a switch that will click on. Meaning, she's been through a lot. It's not like, this is her 6th month.
Yeah.
And you have people who are going to be breathing on her heels who are in their 6th month and are that, accelerated. So the passion's great. The presence is good. She's a beautiful young woman. She can, talk. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Give her a microphone. Become an analysis person.
Yeah.
I think that in the end too, it really doesn't give the Robert Stone brand anywhere to grow.
Mm.
Meaning that you put him with her to help get her over, and it's not doing anything to help that character accelerate. You haven't seen them trust her in storylines. Once they put them with her, they started kind of trying, and then where has that gone? It was great that we saw the Shotzi stuff with Stone getting run over and whatnot, but apparently that kind of shit is just kind of gone away, and now they're feeding her to Tony Storm, who it fits into the story that Tony Storm is, quote unquote, working off ring rust. So you put her with someone who isn't at the same level, and essentially you're covering up her, you know, lack of the same level of ability as Tony Storm by saying Storm's been gone all this time and she's got ring rust. Literally, you could throw Tony Storm in there with, you know, the top 3 people right a fucking away. But again, you want to kind of give a build of that character for people who, you know, not seen her.
Let me ask King Lucky, the king of Smartville. Would you agree with his analysis on Aaliyah? I mean, what should we do about her situation here?
I mean, that ship is sailed already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not really much, you know, and I've tried to find ways to like her, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that she's a hard worker. She's been with NXT for several years. But like he said, several people have passed her by.
Mm-hmm.
And the rate now of the way they're bringing these girls in, they're already at the level or, you know, moving up. And then I just don't see whose spot you would take to plug her in there. You gave her a shot with the Robert Stone brand. That kind of just fizzled out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'd be tough. I like his recommendation of using her as somebody for backstage because the girl works hard and stuff like that, you know, but her ceiling is already hit, and that's it.
Okay.
And then you get Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. It's like the total opposite of that. You get 2 guys, one who was going to be fired,
Yeah.
and, you know, saved face. And then you got Killian Dane, for all intents and purposes, who has been DOA for months. And that unlikely tag pairing is fucking working, which is, you know,
It's gonna be really good once they get the ball rolling on this thing.
Yeah. So, you know, that's interesting. And then finally you finish off with Loomis against Priest. Come on, you know, you gotta love Cameron Grimes, man. Gotta love the guy.
Yeah, buddy.
And I mean, they're persisting to make Loomis face. That's the most remarkable thing. You would figure that a psychopathic
Right.
be a heel. And
maybe it's because Dexter's coming back, baby.
yeah, that's exactly it. But you know, and then Priest, come on, you know, for someone who, it's interesting that he in Ring of Honor was good, but you kind of got that feeling where he just was kind of an older guy, and that there was going to be no place for him to really climb, especially with what talent they had at that point in Ring of Honor, and that, you know, you still had Cody and the Bucks and everything. He goes to NXT, and everyone assumes, well, he's an older guy, maybe he'll get this, you know, quick push or whatever, or maybe they're going to take this. They've done everything fucking right with him.
Oh yeah.
Mind blowing. Yeah. And I think if you take him right now, you put him up to the main roster, I see Baron Corbin's career if you bring him up, which is a big guy that we like, but we don't know what to do with the character, and it gets all fucking jumbled.
Yeah.
And he's where he needs to be. Fucking take it for the long run. Do what you need to do in NXT. Transition into a trainer.
Yep.
And that would be the fucking perfect path with them. But entertaining, I mean, dude, anytime you put Dexter Loomis and Priest in a fucking ring together, it's just, you don't have to think about the wrestling aspect because you're watching some great psychology of characters, and it's a different speed than a Gargano going out there. And, you know, you have these big guys who can do some amazing stuff, but their storytelling is, right on par, to the point where you're invested in the match, and then that shit Cameron Grimes comes out and fucks with the match. That is perfect storytelling right there.
Anybody else want to mention anything about NXT before we move on?
It was a good show.
Okay.
I will definitely say that there's going to be some foreshadowing of what's going to happen for the higher stakes that William Regal spoke about after, the Shotzi Blackheart and Tinkerbell, who I call her. My prediction is that Shotzi Blackheart will be the special guest referee for Halloween Havoc for that match with, Tinkerbell versus, the NXT champion, Io Shirai. That's what I feel is going to happen.
Okay. Well, let's jump over next then to AE Dubs. Sin City, tell us, man, some highlights or some bad lights.
So yeah, of all people to introduce AEW, it's DJ Impact, the guy that absolutely hates AEW and everything that it stands for. Where's the lie?
I like AEW.
In all seriousness, though, I think that they got the show off to a great start with the best friends, or as Miro called them, the good friends, against FTR for the championships. Okay, so the second that they showed the arcade cabinet, I knew that was going to play into some match. I just didn't think that it was going to be the opening match.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was pretty corny in the utilization of that, but it did bring out Miro as he should have been, honestly, from the beginning, just wrecking shop on everybody.
So wait, hold on, time out. So Miro, when he was formerly Rusev.
I'm sorry, what was that? Can you say that name one more time?
Rusev.
Okay.
When he was that character, he gets put into a storyline where he lets his wife go with another man. However, damn it, if the video game gets ruined, I'm all over it, and I'm pissed now.
Yeah.
Which again makes me think, what is Lana doing?
Clearly not Miro. No.
Right.
No, in all seriousness, I'm sure that Home Life is great between the two of them.
There was actually an article about, they were saying that, people comment a lot on their relationship and some even trying to ruin it, but they stay strong. So
which is pretty shitty.
At
the end of the day, like everybody from Vince and everybody across the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, you break the arcade cabinet, which just so happened to be Kip Sabian's best and greatest possession that he's ever had. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, I was completely on board with Miro just being a badass. Although there was a slight botch on the him applying the game over camel clutch, which I thought was pretty funny. Sean Maluda did his damnedest to make sure that he was in the right place. The arms just slipped. Jesus.
Yeah. See, now you begin to sound like me. Okay, that's the stuff I say.
You put more of a vindictive spin on it, and you say, why is anybody watching this shit?
No, I don't say that. I watch the same stuff going, I just find myself doing this emoji.
That's not an emoji.
So here's the thing: is you can definitely facepalm, and I've called him out on certain things that I've thought were pretty shitty, but I've applauded them when they've done things that are done well. Yeah. I think that having Miro with Sabian, for a feud with the Best Friends. I think that's good. I mean, you know, they are a reputable tag team that will serve a very distinct purpose, and that is to put over Miro, Sabian too, but Miro specifically. And that's really what they should be doing at this point. And you can say what you will about another ex-WWE guy in the spotlight. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
but in that scenario, you have an ex-WWE guy who is helping get over an ex-WWE guy. So it's
very true. No one knows that, or at least a lot of people have forgotten about that. Thank you, historian.
yeah. but
Not
no,
just the golden era, he knows apparently.
but it brings up a very valid point, and that is when you sign X amount of talent, of course you're going to have these guys, you know, elevating each other and moving up, because that's majority of your, you know, you're starting to get 25%, then 35%. All of a sudden, you get 50% of your roster ex-WWE guys. Well, what are you going to do? You know, you're spending them.
And so moving on, we had the next segment with Jericho and MJF challenging one another to appear at the restaurant next week for a dinner business meeting. So that was pretty comical. You can kind of see the way that things are going, that it's going to be Sammy that is the fly in the ointment with, with MJF coming over to the Inner Circle. So I think that could be a very interesting wrinkle, and I hope that they, you know,
Jericho,
do more to explore that.
Does Jericho go face? And Sammy and MJF basically take over the whatever they're called, the Inner Circle or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
I see MJF. Yeah, I see MJF ending up taking over the Inner Circle in time, which, you know, it is what it is. Even a broken clock's right twice a day, and even hashtag not my king is correct on a couple of occasions. So I just wish that the AEW brass that listened to this show and watched this show didn't pay so much attention to his fucking opinions and the things that he says, because they're shit.
Welcome to the kingdom, baby.
Fuck off. Anyway,
but guess who's emailing them? Guess who's emailing them the actual fucking clips they should be listening to?
Oh, of course.
It's coming straight from King Lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it's coming from King Lucky directly.
Yeah.
You had a TNT championship match that went the full duration, time limit draw, which in pro wrestling is something, quite frankly, I don't think is done enough. I think that in a draw, you actually put Orange Cassidy over. Everything from, you know, the way that the announcers talked about him during the match to the obvious, you know, the ending of the match being the time limit draw, to the post-match stuff where you had Orange Cassidy playing a sympathetic babyface. Like I found myself almost getting sucked into it, like, oh shit, man, this sucks. Like, this was his opportunity, and, you know, nothing's going to happen from it now. So yeah, I think that mission accomplished on that. Cody went back to the fucking bleach blonde hair after I made a comment about how it was cool that he went back to the dark hair. So again, AEW brass, don't listen to the fucking king.
Welcome to the kingdom, baby.
Fuck off. Hashtag not my king. From there, I mean, you had Sheeta and Big Swole. It started off pretty well, but there were some botches in this match. It got sloppy pretty quick. And then the ending was just a little bit abrupt. Sheeta's on a roll, obviously. We'll see what happens, but I want to see more of Thunder Rosa. I know that was a temporary thing, but we've got to get more Thunder Rosa back on the show. Whatever kind of an agreement that they got to work out with the NWA to get her appearing. I was excited about the women's division, and my level of excitement for the women's division has decreased.
Who's in charge of the women's division?
What's
Official.
that?
Who's in charge of the women's division?
As far as I know, it's still Omega.
Yeah, Omega.
Okay, I just wanted to make that a point because that's maybe where we should start. No offense, I love you. Just saying.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind, there being a changing of the guard with the booking staff when it comes to the women's division. Give somebody else an opportunity to book the division for a little while.
On top of that, Steve, I'll flat out say it. This is a company that a year ago, when they started this show, they came out and they said, we're going to be diverse. Yep. So have a fucking woman booking the goddamn fucking women's division.
I agree
Facts.
1,000,000%.
Facts.
And AEW Brass, if you're listening to the show, there's that.
And not Brandy.
Not Brandy.
No offense, Brandy. Not Brandy.
Maybe like somebody like Serena Deeb. Why not?
Yeah.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy seeing her in the ring right now. She's freaking amazing. But
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Doesn't have to mean she can't. I mean,
Yeah.
True. Very, very true.
Exactly.
Doing it now, and he's on the show. So
Yeah.
just get a woman in charge of that division and make it someone who has a history and knowledge of how to, and I think that's honestly a difficult thing, is because until recently, women haven't had the same type of, chances on the independent level to do that booking, to get that experience. So
Exactly.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because you made an excellent point, Michaels. Do you think that to some degree, if they maybe A, have tried to do that in the past, or B, they would like to, but what I'm saying is the opponent really is just the network is interfering with them to some degree, to whereas they're not 100% backing that decision. No. And you don't think? I wonder sometimes.
Network's more concerned with
the numbers, right?
Right, your on-camera product. They're not necessarily going to get involved into the backstage, the actual physical booking of stuff.
Unless it's a TNT championship.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons I think, honestly, one of the smartest things they did was introduce that title, because that gets them off the network, off the ass of people wanting to butt in. They have their own they can butt in on now. Yeah. So probably not.
So we should see a change in the next couple of weeks then, basically.
Well, we can hope.
I think so. I think I'm being honest. I think that we all can see the writing on the wall, what needs to be changed. No offense to Kenny Omega. You're great at a lot of things, but this is not one of them. And this women's division in AEW does need a new direction.
Yeah, without a doubt. And finally, your main event, Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer. No DQ match. Okay, so Archer throws a production crew member through a pane of glass during his entrance, and immediately I was sold. I was like, all right, let's do this. And this match, what?
Your king looking at you weird.
I don't give a shit.
I'm tired of Archer with the jobbers. That ship is sailed too.
Bro, I love when he makes his appearance and he just beats the shit out of random people. Why not? That's obviously his thing. So fuck it. I'll embrace it.
You know what, Sensei Steve, sorry to cut you off. King Lucky has just received a phone call from AEW. Lance Archer is looking for another jobber. King Lucky is the person.
Perfect. Throw him through a piece of glass and 2 tables.
Hey, cut the check, baby.
Okay, you hear that? He said,
cut the check. I'll show up. Fly me to Jacksonville.
I should fucking hope that happens. Oh my goodness.
You get a mute. You get a mute. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, thanks. I like it. Perfect. So yeah, these guys beat the shit out of each other. I thought that this was a solid match. And gave some legitimacy to Archer, which he desperately needed. even in a losing effort, he still got put over in a sense. Gave him some, as I said, some legitimacy. There was even a killer near fall at the very end. You know, Archer hits the blackout. But then when he goes for the cover, you know, Moxley rolls him over for the pin, and just a surprise win. I wish that it would have played out a little bit differently. I said the exact same thing when Darby Allin hit Cody with the coffin drop, and then Cody kind of, you know, hit him, latched his arms for the crucifix pin. Exact same thing here. I wish that there would have been a, you know, a little bit of a different kind of an ending to the match. But all in all, it was a solid ending. And then you had Eddie Kingston coming out. And did you guys notice Eddie Kingston, or maybe I was just wrong, but it looked like he laid out Moxley with the Judas effect. Was I just high, or was that a thing? Because I saw him hit like either a spinning back fist or a spinning elbow. And yeah, it immediately, that was something that stood out. I was like, why are you busting out Jericho's finisher? Yeah. Thankfully, the announcers no-sold it. But yeah. So
well, maybe that's where we're heading with Jericho going face. Kingston and Jericho.
Okay. I'd be on board with that. I mean, if you use Jericho to put over Eddie Kingston, boy, I'm down.
Yeah.
I am down. The thing that I'll say about the main event, the main event match itself was only like 15 minutes, but they did enough and they were extremely efficient to where the match felt like it went long, and in a good way. Like it felt like as if they were doing a lot of shit in that 15-minute window. So all in all, it was a pretty solid episode of Dynamite. There were definitely some misses. There were some hits though. I'm curious, what do you guys think about the tournament that was announced for the championship opportunity, if you will, for the Moxley championship?
I think it's good. I'm excited to see how it develops.
Is anybody else here thinking that it's going to be anything other than Omega and Page in the finals?
I hope not.
I totally agree with you, Steve, 100%.
Yeah, I legitimately think that it's going to be Omega and Page in the finals. Omega is just going to go full on cleaner. He's going to go full on heel, and he will be the one to get that championship match against Moxley, and he will take that championship from Moxley.
They got to finally pay that story off. So
have to.
Yeah, because I looked at the bracket a couple different times, and anyway I tried to slice it, it just kept. It's a glaring. It was so fucking glaring. It's just like, oh man, then why? I don't know. Just have them have the match then. But
yeah,
right.
Well, because ultimately what you need to do is you need to kind of build to it, I think. Where it could really shine is if you start to see Omega, doing these heel tactics, but not going all the way heel. Kind of like what he's been doing, but make it more pronounced as he progresses through the tournament. And then finally, maybe he switches his entrance music again, and goes dark and, makes a new spin on the cleaner gimmick. And that's what I would personally love to see.
I think you have Brandy do some of her voodoo shit, and Omega becomes Page character, and Page becomes Omega's character.
It'd be like AEW, the Skeleton Key.
Do you guys have anything else about AEW you want to mention before we jump to the next?
No.
Okay, let's go. WWE SmackDown, Simon Street. You gonna talk about Bay and her contract signing?
Well,
outfit.
First of all, that outfit. Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Some of it I can't disclose out in a public setting. It's appropriate. It's appropriate, but she was looking good. But anyways, besides the point, SmackDown season premiere. It's interesting because when I think of season premiere, I think of other great shows that change a lot. Not just their roster, not just the pieces, storylines, new beginnings. unfortunately, I didn't get the one thing that I wanted to change. But that's besides the point. Maybe they spent too much money, but it's fine.
What, theme song?
Yeah. It is what it is. Maybe it's just my gripe. But besides the point, SmackDown season premiere was great. Started off with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H in the middle of the ring. We got a chance to see Triple H get other people excited who thought Rick James came back from the dead and would possibly been drafted to SmackDown. That did not happen. It was interesting to see those two again. It's been a while.
By the way,
yes,
neither of them have wedding rings on.
This is very interesting because you did make that point the last week. Yes, I don't know what's going on.
Just into maybe a little swapping or, open marriage. Who knows?
They're on that Will and Jada shit. Bad marriage for life. Who knows? But yeah, for the most part, SmackDown, they talked about new talent, new faces. They mentioned Kevin Owens. They also mentioned King Lucky's favorite, Lars Sullivan. I can't speak today. Lars Sullivan, who came out and presented himself with his big eyes, Zangief from Street Fighter looking ass. And then, of course, Jeff Hardy politely came back and said, well, we're tired of seeing you get your ass in the ring. So those two began to have a match. It was a very interesting match. Unfortunately, at the end of it all, Lars Sullivan, won against Jeff Hardy. It was a very interesting thing. I'm going to agree a little bit with King Lucky. I don't know where that's going to go at Lars Sullivan. I'm starting to see why a lot of people aren't excited with him, but SmackDown has a Lars Sullivan, and we'll see how that goes further on.
Well, if they're gonna make him as dominant as it appears it's gonna be, I guess he's on his way to eventually becoming the champion. Which I don't understand why they would go there.
He needs a manager. He needs something else. When we talked about earlier about certain people missing things like Leah, that's what I think of with Lars Sullivan. I feel like something could be okay. I didn't say great.
Well, manager or not, they're gonna find a way to give him that title down the line. But whatever works. You can keep it up, man.
Good luck with that.
Bring Robert Stone to SmackDown.
Hey, you know what? I would actually be great with that. That might actually help Lars Sullivan. He needs something.
Listen.
But then he'll be afraid of Lars.
There ain't nothing.
Precisely.
Not afraid of Lars.
Amazingly well.
Nothing that could get Lars over. I think Vince likes him because he looks like a throwback to the old school, the old school wrestlers. But there ain't nothing that can get him over.
Well, if COVID couldn't get him over, we're good.
Fuck off. There ain't nothing that can get him over. You just don't like him. And as soon as he becomes popular, you're going to be slopping on his cock, dude.
Wow. Hey, can I tally that one, Michaels? Can I tally that one when he's slobbing on his cock?
Oh, and you guys are like cock slobbers.
Fuck God. He's slobbering on his cock. He's cock slobbering. Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
all right, Simon Street, keep us going.
Anyways, moving on to one of the good segments that I really enjoyed was New Day versus Cesaro, Sheamus, and Shinsuke Nakamura. They did not hold back. And again, it was interesting how we were talking about the tag team champions and how a little weirdly with Monday Night Raw. When I saw this match, the one thing that I really wish that WWE had at this point was a trios championship. And not so much because of the New Day, because it was the last match. I felt Cesaro, Sheamus, and Shinsuke Nakamura were very convincing and entertaining. I really enjoyed their synergy that they worked with each other. Especially with Cesaro, I like that the announcers actually mentioned Cesaro being the number one person throughout the New Day's title reigns that they had, which was good. I'm glad that they did that. Sure enough, New Day went over and was able to be victorious. But the great thing is they gave them time to talk it out and kind of express themselves. And it was a bit emotional. It was really great how, they talked about their friendships. They talked about each one of them and their perspectives when being this new idea, which they mentioned it, came about. And I know for someone like myself, who is a New Day fan, I was left presently happy with where it is and the way things are going. Big E is going to stay at SmackDown and pursue his singles career, as we all know. And New Day is moving on to Raw, which they will, do great things as well. A bit emotional with that part. Moving on a little bit further than that, we have Daniel Bryan, who is for the first time ever in the Thunderdome, as if the Thunderdome has been around for 10 plus years, and Daniel Bryan just always missed the ticket to get there. Really happy to see Daniel Bryan. Was freaking amazing. Of course, he was blessed by the Messiah, Seth Rollins. And those two had a very interesting discussion where, Daniel Bryan basically told him that, his whole speech and everything is just stupid. It's just, he basically stated everything that we kind of said, but we still, Seth Rollins is so awesome and so great. He was able to make a stupid thing in the beginning work to his advantage over on Raw. Now, getting to the part that I like, I would skip around a little bit, is Sasha Banks and Bayley. They both met in the ring for a contract signing. Of course, it was overseen by Adam Pearce. And it was very interesting, pretty much, Bayley mentioned that, Sasha was always going to turn on her. She was just waiting for the opportunity. She's still going that same stick that she said many weeks past. It was interesting how Sasha had mentioned, like, look, friends don't do that to friends. At the end of the day, I was there for you. She went down the laundry list of times that she was there against her better backstabbing history that Sasha gets a bad rap on. And, interesting enough, signs the contract. I like how she did it for the most part, 90%, with keeping her eyes locked on Bayley. I think she only looked down for a split second to make sure she signed on the line. And then, Bayley looked super uncomfortable and a little bit beside herself and left, surprisingly. Well, maybe not surprising because we all saw she didn't sign the contract. So interesting enough, what's going to happen with that? Does that mean anything? Or maybe it's just I focused in on that instead.
As we all know that contracts really need to be signed in pro wrestling for matches to happen.
Exact. Thank you, Michaels. I thought the same thing, but I thought it was interesting that it was quite apparent that she did not sign the contract. Who knows? I'm sure it'll be signed by the time next Friday rolls around. But anyways, so that was pretty much that. The one thing that I will say is the main event, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman Universal Championship. I actually did enjoy this match. I didn't think I was 100% going to enjoy it. I knew it would be entertaining. Their matches often are great, but I actually enjoyed it. And I enjoyed that Roman actually basically incapacitated Braun Strowman. That is the thing.
It was a pretty good move. I like that move.
I was actually excited. I hope that is now part of his repertoire moving forward. I know I said repertoire pretty bad, but I thought it was great. I think it was good. I'm liking this new Roman Reigns and the going in deep with changing up his moveset a little bit. Of course, he's met obviously with his brother, his cousin brother, like I said, comes out and Roman Reigns has a chair and he begins to just pummel on or proceeded to ready to pummel on Braun Strowman. And it's interesting how this is developing, because I spoke last week and I was wondering, I said that I think eventually what is going to happen is, Jay is eventually going to conform and recognize him as his tribal chief. I feel that after seeing this end of SmackDown, I feel like that's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I feel that's going to happen. I feel like he is going to be the stubborn one that eventually will fall in line and say, you are the tribal chief. The only interesting thing is I heard a bunch of reports before SmackDown, and maybe YouTube TV missed it or what, because I did not watch it on Friday. I watched it on Saturday morning. Wasn't Goldberg supposed to be on SmackDown?
He was. He was in the Thunderdome in the audience.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they've been. Yeah, they started that this week for the premiere. Who knows if they'll continue with that? But
okay.
Which, if they were smart, they'd use that at some point to develop an angle, and that's all I'll say. I think it'll be brilliant.
I
See,
hope so.
That,
King.
wait. Let's call your bullshit on this right now, because that's what you do. Well, they could use this at some point to develop an angle. Fast forward 5 months when they use that for an angle. See, I said they would.
Tally it up, motherfucker.
Open-ended fucking statements. You don't know.
You know what's funny is I actually said this exact statement a while ago, if you remember, but you don't, because you're always trying to knock the king.
No, because you're always
Welcome to the kingdom.
because you're making it up as it goes. You didn't say shit about it. What was mentioned was the fact that the retribution should be using that. That was something I said.
It was
Yeah,
before that.
Yeah, fuck off.
So pretty much, ladies and gentlemen,
Whatever.
That was SmackDown. I
Okay.
felt that it was a pretty sound show. It met the expectation of, I think, all of us. It wasn't over the top amazing, but it wasn't horrible at all. I felt like they kept a decent stride, just my opinion. And that was pretty much it. I don't know if we give grades or scores, but I would give it on a scale.
No, we don't give grades.
Perfect.
I would give Matt Michaels Schlong a grade of 0 as the inches that it includes to be able to pleasure any situation. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not on mute no more? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord. All right.
Fuck.
Is there any anybody else want to say anything about SmackDown?
That's it, man.
Okay. How about you, Sensei? Did you?
Just the stuff after the championship match was just chef's kiss. Nah, it was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, just to mention Hell in a Cell, that will take place this upcoming weekend. And all I can find is 3 confirmed matches, right? Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal Championship. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton for the WWE. And although we didn't get a signed contract, Bayley versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's the confirmed. And I guess the one with Asuka, right? And then Lana. I guess we're gonna have that. So is that it?
Is that a match?
Is that really I don't even know if that's really a match. And I mean,
Can that be in Hell in a Cell, please?
It's
Well,
not going to be a Hell in a Cell. That's the
whole
problem.
week,
That's
buddy.
the match that's not in a Hell in a Cell.
but that's the only thing.
It's the go home week. So you get everything this week.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, you would think you will have a little bit more of a build up matches when you're within that week of the show, but
It's WWE. They don't need to announce anything.
They might announce
All
the
right.
matches. They might announce the matches during the pre-show, baby.
Of course.
But what you're forgetting is they just changed all the fucking rosters.
There you
And it did.
So that's why you don't have like a fucking lineup.
That's true.
That's the biggest reason.
No doubt.
Well, I'm pretty
All
sure
right.
Monday night you're going to see Stephanie and Triple H come back out. I'm just wondering and doing the same they did on SmackDown. Just saying.
All right. For all you guys who have our app, thank you for downloading it. And we hope this Sunday review that either all of us or a few of us may jump on and live chat with us during the pay-per-view for Hell in a Cell. All right. So if you do, right when it comes on, just jump right on and you'll get the notifications as well. With that, fellas, that is our wrestling talk. We thank everybody for hanging out in the chat. And with that, we will see you next week. All right. Peace.
And of course, don't stop watching right now.
Please.
DJ's
Please.
just doing his rendering during this. So let's take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we're going series against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, but
Right, baby.
Michaels, is that not dedicated to one of our viewers on the show who loves the Dodgers more than anything in the world? Raven. I mean, he loves the Dodgers with all of his heart. He just loves them.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Going down.
Yeah.
But
That place is gonna be packed for the World Series.
How?
Yeah, how?
As packed as it can get in the pandemic. But that is cool that fans will be there.
Look, okay, I have to put it out there. The Tampa Bay Rays have been prepared for this. Okay? They average in a non-pandemic about 6,000 people come into their games anyway every year. So they're used to this shit. So they have the home field. They know what's going on.
No one has the home field. It's got to be played in the same fucking city as that horrible football team.
You know what really sucks? I wish I really could have at a young age really watched baseball. I really wish I could. I respect the sport. I'm not entertained at all. I just live game probably would be more, but watching it, man, I've tried it high. I've tried it drunk. I've tried it with groups of people who are really baseball fans. I just can't engage. But kudos to the World Series.
So, like, was it baseball banned in your house as a kid?
And interesting enough, that wasn't the case. It was never banned or anything. It wasn't something that as a large family, we really. I remember growing up watching, and it sucks because I see other people who grew up with baseball, and it just seems awesome. I honestly just can't engage as much. I do watch like the World Series, and I try to watch some of the games, but it's just, I don't know. It sucks because I feel like I missed out on a childhood, like growing up with baseball. I know it's the face you're giving me is the face I give to everybody when I talk about it, because it almost seems like an obvious, like, you're freaking American. You don't freaking watch baseball.
So Simon, what's kind of alarming, well, not so much alarming, but what stands out to me about what you said is exactly how you feel about baseball is how I personally feel about basketball.
And you know what? That makes sense. I can understand if you said that, because I think a lot of it does come with your family structure and how you grow up. And so my family, they were huge basketball. I mean, almost everybody played basketball growing up. So I can get that. So I understand. Like, if you told me that before I said what I said about baseball, I totally understand, because I have the same thing about baseball. I feel like I missed out. I really honestly do. I've even tried playing like baseball games to try and really, I feel like sometimes that helps kind of, you can know the roster a little bit better and get into it. It's just, man, it sucks because I really wish I got into it when I was young. Yeah, I really do. Because I see other people watch it and it's super exciting, and to see them engaged and see them excited, I kind of wish I could be on the same level.
So the fun thing is actually getting invested into a team and following them and being a fan of them, not just when they're going to the World Series. Lucky. But at all times.
Hey man, let me tell you something.
The first time that you posted this year about baseball was when they won the first game in the NLCS.
Hey, so the reason why I'm so excited is because my grandmother, who was in the grave, worked for the Dodgers, and that was her squad. Okay.
You had to say it like that and make me look like a complete dick. Thank you very much.
Call a spade. That's what it is.
Damn.
The reason why I'm excited.
Damn. Look.
I'm glad you said that and not me.
Wait, hold on.
Like a spade, someone's in the grave. That was not a good word pairing.
But your logic is just asinine. Because during your grandmother's lifetime, the Dodgers won the fucking World Series.
So what?
So everything. I was watching a few years ago. No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. This is coming from a Cubs fan where there's been generations of people over 100 fucking years who died. They never saw it. Your grandmother did. So fuck that theory. Come on.
You know what?
And fuck your theory, guys.
All right. But you know what, Michael?
It is a sentimental spot for me, and I don't have to fucking justify it for nobody.
Okay. Rightfully so. But Michael, you made a good point, because I will say I am a diehard Saints fan. All right. And so for many generations, well, not too many, but a couple of generations, there were Saints fans were wearing bags on their head. So when the Saints finally won their NFL championship, I was a present and alive, obviously, for that. So yes, I agree with you. That would mean so much to my heart. I don't know if my future generations will identify the same way if they didn't grow up with football in general. Is that what you were saying with regards to the Lucky's statement?
No, I'm saying that his grandmother saw the Dodgers win a championship in their lifetime when there were my grandparents who never saw that happen. They actually would be what he's referring to, winning it for those people who never saw it.
Mm.
But she saw it, dude. You can rest assured your grandmother was happy.
It was the connection with me and her. So that's all I got to say about that. I don't have to justify it. I don't. There's no reason for me to. I get joy by knowing that was our relationship. We were good together like that. So there's no reason why I have to justify it. If I watch one game, a fucking inning, a bat, it doesn't matter. That's it.
I think that's good, King Lucky. that when they win, you can have that memory with your grandmother. I think that's good for anybody, just in general.
By the way, shout out to Shant in the chat. He literally just said, "Look at me, guys." Andy's talking shit about the Dodgers, so he's good by me.
Does anybody like the Dodgers? Who likes the Dodgers?
I love the Dodgers, dude. Lucky,
really?
Obviously, Dodgers, right?
Hey, you can be a dick about it all you want, baby.
I'm
from LA. My grandmother worked for the Dodgers for many years, and she used to bring home souvenirs and stuff like that. So you could be a dick about it all you want and question whether I love the Dodgers or not.
Now we got.
I love the. You know what?
I
love the memories that I had with her. How about that? Boom.
It's because she brought you shit that was from the Dodgers.
Hey, I've been to the games too, man. It's not that fucking trivial.
I wish I went to a game.
4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm your host, DJ Impact. I got all of the bad boys with me here. They're fired up and they ready to go. We got our 3 count topics here for you. And let's get started, fellas. Good to see you on. Our first one for the first count from eWrestling.com. Now, they titled this that Bayley reacts to coming in at number 1 on annual PWI Top 100 Women's Wrestlers list. But instead of talking about, how she reacts, let's just kind of go over, first off, just the top 5. Now, again, she takes number 1. Number 2 is Asuka. Number 3, Charlotte.
Incorrect.
I'm sorry.
Number 2 is Becky Lynch.
Number 2 is Becky. That's right. Number 3 is Asuka. Number 4, I done lost my place here. Here it is. Number 4 is Charlotte. And number 5 is Sasha Banks. So that right there is your top 5 list, which I guess all those are your WWE women. But I guess the question is, because we also have the entire list, do you guys have an issue, first off, with who is number 1? Or do you even see any other discrepancies within the top 100 that they put down for the PWI?
I do.
Women. Go ahead.
And just to show you guys on air some of the ignorance of why you should probably read everything, I looked for a second at the list first and was like, what the hell? But then I looked a little bit above that, and they did mention that this list is compiled of the top 10 that dominated by the WWE stars, which is interesting that they said that, and the ranks of wrestlers from October 2019 to October 2020. So I had to think about the list again, like, okay, it wasn't that bad because it was from basically year to date from October. Now, the only problem that I have to where I felt like maybe Tessa Blanchard at 7. That's the only kind of problem that I have. Other than that, I do always have some things.
So you think that Tessa should be further back?
I think she should be number 6, personally.
Oh, moved up. Okay.
And maybe even, dare I say it, might be sacrilegious, maybe even number 5. But I will say, Sasha.
Wait, and Lucky, you're going to feel good about this because I'm about to do what I did to you on baseball to him on this.
Go ahead. Please.
You
Bring the smoke. Bring the smoke.
Just fucking said that the thing was comprised from 2019 October to current 2020 October.
Please.
How many fucking months did Tessa Blanchard actually?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. I asked myself the same question. You know what? Take a tall glass or shut the fuck up and listen to what I have to say, sir. So the reason why I asked myself the same exact question was because I said the same thing you said, Michael. I said, yeah, but she was gone. But think about how much everybody was still talking about her. They were still talking about her from that time period. It's a very big fucking deal because at the end of the day, when she was done with
Jordan Grace,
people were
Ripley, Shayna Baszler, Thunder Rosa. Come on, dude.
Look, all I'm merely saying, we're only talking about the top 5, maybe top 6 if we're saying that, okay? Now, there's some questionable things on the list a little bit further down, but I'm only talking about the top 5. I will say, but that's huge. That's huge for people.
Tessa Blanchard should be in the top 5?
I'm saying that she should be 6. I didn't say top 5. I said
well, you
6.
just said we're talking about the top 5.
I said 5 or 6. Do you understand the word that is coming out of my mouth?
Yeah.
I did say it. We can run it back. Look, man, it's not deplorable. You're the only one that got
absolutely no sense.
That's because you don't fucking listen.
Jesus Christ.
Are we done? Are we done now? Are we done? Anyways,
Valkyrie is down on the list, and she's hardly wrestled.
Again, we were only just now talking about 5 or 6. Can I finish? Rhea
Ripley, Jordan Grace, Shayna Baszler.
Are they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Answer the question. Are they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
If Tessa Blanchard is my choice in terms of number 6, then any one of those people.
Say that again? No. What? Say that again? What'd you say?
You wanted.
It doesn't matter what you think.
You wanted me to put Tessa Blanchard.
It doesn't matter. We said 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Wait till your turn.
He hasn't done shit.
All right. So let me
real quick, and I'll be done. Michael, I see your point, but real talk. I was saying the same thing that you said, and I said, look, I felt personally, as my opinion, which you can't judge me on. I said that people talking about Tessa Blanchard 2019 into 2020, where the fuck is she gonna go? I felt like that could definitely be something that is mentionable, because that means that you had a lot of weight to even have been in that conversation. That's all I will say. Thank you, Matt Michaels.
Let me jump on Sin City. Let me ask you a question. I know that there's a good possibility that I wouldn't know maybe even 50% of maybe some of the women wrestlers on here, right? But if I do see a name that I'm really not familiar with in the top 10, like Mayu Awatani.
Yeah.
Okay. What for the fact that I'm not.
I had to sound it out.
Oh,
as you were saying it.
Yeah.
And then put the Daryl filter in there. So
see, that's what you got to do. That's all I ask you guys to do. Just put the impact on there. Should then, like, I'm not saying that I should know her, but I know tons of names below that name. I don't know that name up to 10. Should I even think of her as being somewhere in this top 10 if I'm not familiar?
So that was actually something that I was going to mention. I'm going to sound like a huge asshole right now, but I was not a fan of her work in ROH, and that's largely where she's been.
Okay.
Obviously, she's been doing some stuff in Japan and things of that nature, but the times that I've seen her work live, I haven't been a huge fan of her work in ROH.
Okay.
So yeah, I would agree with you. I would not put her in the top 10.
Okay.
And that's, as much as that's going to sound like a slight on her, I feel that she could be a top 10 talent if she had, better creative and actually made people invest in her more.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately we're seeing a huge disconnect from WWE versus everybody else, in that you look at the top 10 and it's very, very largely WWE talent.
Right.
You know, I would say personally, I would have Asuka at 2 over Becky Lynch.
Okay.
You know, and Becky has made some amazing decisions in her life to, you know, pursue motherhood. And you know, I won't fault her for that. But at the end of the day, if we're looking strictly at accomplishments during this time period, I feel, and this is just me, that Asuka has accomplished more. And especially in the pandemic era, as far as I'm concerned, Asuka is one of the MVPs of the pandemic era for WWE.
That's true. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Imagine how their programming would have been without Asuka during this bullshit that's been going on. And I'm not saying that to, you know, to trivialize the pandemic, but I'm just saying, like, with all the craziness that's been going on, if we wouldn't have had Asuka on TV, things would have been a whole hell of a lot more boring. Bayley, number 1 with a bullet. I think that she is on another level to every other woman in pro wrestling right now, period. So I can't fault that.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't see that coming before she turned heel and that she was the, you know,
exactly.
I was like, I liked her, don't get me wrong, but I never thought that this right here, this Bayley was in her. And
I was sold the second that she, you know, here in Vegas, when she destroyed the, you know, the freaking wacky arm inflatable tube, whatever the fuck they're called. But yeah, like when she destroyed those, it was like, okay, this is cool. She came out, new haircut, you know, and still had her old music to start. But then obviously after she won the championship, she debuted a new theme song. And from there, it's just been like building on top of that. I was sold basically from day one on this character. And it's good to see that finally she's getting the shine that she deserves. Because for the longest time, everybody would talk about Charlotte. They would talk about Becky. They would talk about Sasha. But out of the WWE 4 horsewomen, everybody seemingly forgot about Bayley. And I think that this year she really shined.
Let me ask you, King Lucky, and actually, I would say both King Lucky and Matt Michaels. I gotta say, I don't see Aaliyah nowhere in this list. Maybe you guys have a point when we talked about on Wrestling Talk on our last episode. So you guys might have a point there. But is there anybody on this list? Anyone here can? This for any of you here. Anyone on the list that you think should have been on that didn't make it? That you're kind of shocked didn't make the list, or this, you know, this seems about right?
Some of the placements are a little bit off, I would say. You know, and some people are listed way lower, but overall, I mean, I think, you know, they got like there's some names on the list that I'm surprised that they acknowledged, and I think it's pretty cool to see those people. We talked about how this is a worked list and all this stuff. But it's cool to see names, and if you go all the way, you know, to the bottom and stuff, the different people that are on the list that, you know, they covered. So I mean, there's nobody really I could think that's, you know, that's possibly missing right now.
Can I ask a question, King Lucky? Do you feel like, because you'd mentioned earlier, there are some placement issues. I noticed after 6, that's where some of the placement issues, like Rhea Ripley, I felt could have been a little bit higher because she really went in hard. I feel
she had the
in 2019
WrestleMania. I mean, you know, I don't know. Rio's been gone. You know, you could pick the list apart, but you know, there's definitely some different ways I would have, and it's all subjective. Anybody can have this opinion of, you know, it's about who you know. But you have to look at from the list of when it was charted. And I mean, you know, it's a fair assessment, but there are some people that, you know, certainly could have been higher or lower, you know, based on the time period.
Okay. But
I just wanted to make a point. I mean, you know, the Bayley, you know, phenomenal work this year. You know, she really took the ball and ran when Becky and both Charlotte had have, left for different reasons and stuff like that. And I think she'll continue to carry the ball. And as Steve mentioned earlier, she really solidified her place in the Four Horsewomen. They kept her in NXT for so long because she was a workhorse. And, they knew that, she'd be money when she hit the main roster, but nobody would have envisioned this level to where now she is equal parts with the other women.
You know what? I will say this real quick, and I'll make it very quick. Let's celebrate right now that right now in 2020, we can look at from 1 to 100 women who have definitely impact and help raise the bar on women's wrestling. Like, that's something to truly be celebrated. That's something that maybe 15 years ago we really couldn't say.
Yeah.
So shouts out to every one of those women on the list and some of the ones that weren't mentioned as well. Women's wrestling is here. It's evolving, and it is, of course, plain and simple.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, it looks like everyone is in agreement that Bayley should definitely be number one. So shout out to them for getting that right. And, I guess you can always go through the list and kind of see who should be kind of moved around. But for the most part.
Didn't ask me.
Oh, please, man. Please.
First of all, there is a name, and I'm surprised lucky you didn't say it.
Okay.
I know what you're going to say.
Alexa
Yeah,
Bliss.
Bryan, absolutely. If you look at some of the names on this list is very East Coast biased.
Yes.
East Coast, Midwest, that's what a lot of these guys focus on. So that is, something that next year her name's got to be on the list. I don't see how it wouldn't be. Charlotte Flair at number 4.
Yeah, I was kind of questioning that myself.
I'd put it at number 2.
Number 2? No.
I would put it at number 2.
But
Are we going strictly off of past accomplishments, or
No,
right.
No. I'm glad you said that. If it wasn't the timeline they said, like of all time, my apologies, all time, I would say Charlotte Flair would definitely be a 1 or a 2. I'm just going to be honest. As far as
Charlotte Flair is number 1 all time.
Yeah.
But in terms of the time frame, what we're talking about, I'd bump her down. There's no reason. That's the same thing with Tessa. These people missed a lot of time during the year while a pandemic was going on. So the thing is that a lot of these people who were able to wrestle during the pandemic, you have to give them extra credit to be able to do that, man.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. Ripley, I think at 11 is just grossly down there. Shayna Baszler is interesting because she's probably right around that area of 13 or so. But the one person along those lines that is Sonya Deville, man. They buried her.
Yeah.
I think I'm still trying. I thought I saw her on 56.
Yeah.
Peyton Royce was right behind Sonya Deville.
That's a crime. It's a crime.
And something also I don't like when they do this with these lists, which makes me think that they don't really put a lot of time or effort into it, because you see that some of the groupings are alphabetically very close to where they put, like, they had a list alphabetically and then they just copied and pasted 2 names and brought them down 46 spots and just put those people in where like Momo Wanatabe and Mercedes Martinez are 28 and 29. Why? But Dakota Kai and Allison Kay are 24 and 25. And Britt Baker and Bianca Belair are both B's and they're 22 and 23. So, and Britt Baker has been injured most of the fucking time.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Statlander, 32? Chris Statlander?
He's been out.
How do you feel about Alexa Bliss being 27?
Fair in terms of the fact that, remember, she was fairly. I think she was coming off that injury.
Yeah.
So she. I mean that could land. That's fine.
Mhm.
But like, B. Priestley is 37. Until Steve mentioned her today, I didn't even realize she was in AEW because when did she wrestle on this show?
Probably AEW Dark.
Priscilla Kelly. Priscilla Kelly was like over Shotzi Blackheart and Lacey Evans. You know, I don't. It's so hard because of the fact that you have so many good talents that deserve to be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the placing on the list is just so weird. Listen, I think you lost me at number 16 in validity of this list because it was Nyla Rose. What has she done? But yet, at the same time, you put Nyla Rose at 16 and Nia Jax at 69.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Nia Jax at 69. I'm not going to say no.
Oh, boy.
I was going to jump in with that. I just want to say top or bottom. I'll stop at that.
For the record, Thunder Rosa at 14 is criminally underrated.
I was going to say that. Thank you for mentioning.
Yeah, she should be top 10 without question.
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
True.
And next is going to be
next year. Yeah.
Look at Shotzi. Shotzi's going to be way up there.
She's going to be way up. Well, heaven forbid nothing injurious happens to her. But let me ask a question. Impact, does this, do they always do this? Because this is my first time really looking at this list and ignorant of me if that's the case.
Well, apparently they do this list all the time. We just we don't talk about it because we haven't been doing podcasts as long as they've been doing this, but it's been happening. So
yeah. And by the way, Simon Street, did you just say injurious?
No, I said ignorous. I said ignorous, but I might have said injurious because I ain't gonna lie, this rum and coke I've been drinking has been really.
I just wanted to know if we just created a new word.
You know what, man?
Well, it'll be
I probably did. I'm be real with you.
How to fuck up names and words.
Hey, you know what, King Lucky? Call a beaver a beaver. I'm fucking up.
Call a beaver a beaver, baby.
Hey, I'm man enough to admit to it, though.
So the honest answer to answer your question is that PWI they've been doing a top females professional wrestler list each year since 2008.
Wow.
It started off at 50, and then in 2018 it expanded to 100. And it actually was called the female 50, and then they renamed it the women's 100.
Wow.
So in the grand scheme of things, for PWI to only have been running that list since 2008 shows how long it took women to catch up to that. And we mentioned this when we went over the list for this year for the 500. I really think that they need to stop the full separation. If you can do 100 men's list and 100 women's list, but the 500, make it the best fucking wrestlers in the world. Period.
I agree.
Yeah. So Shant in the chat asks, where has Charlotte been the past 5 months? And also, Thunder Rosa deserves to be in the top 5.
Well, Charlotte's been dealing with her breasts. Unfortunately, she's had, it's
been bad.
And the thing is I'm sorry, I was gonna say that when I first heard about the injury with her breast, I was a little insensitive because I didn't know a lot about breast injuries. And I'm not being funny, like that can lead to a very serious, fatal thing. And when I looked it up, I was like, oh shit, because she had injured that and still competed I hear, for a couple of nights, which I was like, wow, that's crazy.
And it isn't her first time.
Yeah.
That's the
this happened before.
So yeah, you can get septic shock and you can die from that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, everything will be solved. And, the great thing about Charlotte is, that she has everything waiting for her when she comes back.
Yes.
Yep.
So.
And she won't disappoint us. She won't
15
disappoint us.
title runs.
But are you ever really disappointed, though? That's why I don't have a problem with Charlotte coming right back. I'm never really disappointed.
Yeah, sometimes.
No, I'm never.
All right, you guys, we'll get over into our second count, which comes from WrestlingNews.co, titled WWE Raw Underground has been canceled. To the report here, it says Dave Meltzer noted that in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that the segment were scrapped a couple of weeks ago because of the latest COVID outbreaks among some of the extras from the Performance Center that were used to make noise around the ring. He also noted that there was fear about bringing in all those people because it could start another spread of the virus among people in the active Raw roster. So the idea is that NXT talent should be kept away from the Raw and the SmackDown roster as much as possible. So, guys, I guess the plain question I just want to ask, I was one of the ones that was sold on Raw Underground. I really enjoyed it. I thought they could have went a little bit more extreme in it, like I talked about. I mean, when they started off with the women on there dancing, I was like, I love it. I think it should have been a little bit more darker. Should have been some smoking around the ring, maybe a little dice playing over there. Let's just make it what a Raw Underground should be.
Dice playing? What
Fucking dice games and
The
shit.
dice game, boy, you making it real hood, bro.
Hey, let's just keep it real, right?
Call it the Palomino Underground, right? If you're in Vegas, you know what that is.
For those that don't get the reference, Palomino's is a fine establishment in Las Vegas, Nevada that has adult entertainment.
And then if that's too high price for you, you can just go like maybe 17 to 20 feet to Chiquita Bananas.
Bonitas, baby. When you get back up and running, don't worry, we'll do a live show from there.
Oh boy. Oh man. But nevertheless, guys, it says it had been canceled. What's your guys' thoughts on this? Is this something that they should have gotten rid of? If the Performing Arts Center was a bad, I mean, it's not the center itself. It was just apparently the people they were bringing in. They must not have been doing this.
It's the Performance Center, not the
Arts. Performance Arts.
Oh, I said art, so I'm okay.
They had to resume classes on the Performing Arts. That's why the trees in Underground got canceled.
Right.
So it was Ballet Underground.
Yeah, they're doing a production of Guys and Dolls in 3 weeks. So,
what do you guys? So, what do you guys think? Is do you think this is something that they should have somehow figured out so they could have continued, or you're just happy that they just got rid of it?
Listen, as a special attraction, maybe on a pay-per-view, I could have been in, but not as a weekly installment. They had some bright spots, but it wasn't sustainable over, a weekly business model. And, there were people that they had in there that were good. Some people that you were like, oh shit, I could see them really fucking somebody up. But it just was a little phony at the end, so I'm okay with it going away.
Okay. Anybody else want to have a stab at that?
I also kind of go within the same vein as King Lucky, reluctantly.
Okay.
Reluctantly. Sustainability is what I first thought of as well. Is just, in the long term, in the long haul, I felt like that would have been really tough to sustain it. But I think it's total bullshit about this article saying it was the COVID shit. Because let's be honest, if anything we learned from COVID the first 3 months in the WWE at the Performance Center, there was tons of people who got COVID and whatnot. And come on, I just think it's interesting that this article chose to choose COVID. I think it.
Well, they're quoting Dave Meltzer, so you have to attack him. He's the one.
Well, Dave Meltzer isn't in the Bible because I give two shits about that. But no offense, Meltzer, just saying you're not in the Bible, bro. So at the end of the day, it's not gospel. But what I am saying is that using COVID, that's a shot in the dark. I think it wasn't a sustainability. I think that honestly, they threw that shit out there, see if it would catch fire. It did. And they were like, oh shit, they actually like this shit. What the hell do we do? And then they tried it for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then they just realized like, we can't really honestly take this any further than what it needs to be. Now, I will say this, I would like to see Raw Underground or some form of that return seasonally once or twice, maybe once in a while, maybe wait a couple of years. That's just me. That's just my opinion. Let
me jump over to you, Sin City. Listen, for the pandemic, I don't see how they can necessarily make this work from a live setting, but during a pandemic where, they can shoot this kind of the way that they were doing it, could you not see it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you were a big fan of it from the beginning. I'm so far the only one that believed that they should have kept this on. Dabba-Kato, Arturo Ruiz. I mean, I think they showed to be powerhouses when they were fighting. Could have been other names that could have come out of there as well. Could they have done more? Sure. I think they downplayed it a lot. And like I said, I think they should have went all the way in. But do you think it just should have just been canceled, Sin City, or you thought it was a way they could have made it work?
So let me get this straight. There was an idea that came to fruition on WWE TV that was largely the brainchild of a 74-year-old man. And then magically it gets canceled a month later. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
That's what it sounds like.
Huh.
Sounds like regular WWE.
Huh. Well, I'll be dipped in shit. That's never happened. They never do that.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I was surprised.
Yeah.
I really wish I could say that I was surprised. But, I can say this, much like the XFL 2.0 died after, a shorter time span than XFL 1.0 did, Brawl for All 2.0 died in a shorter amount of time than Brawl for All 1.0 did. Who would have fucking thunk it? Now, we really should have known that something was going on when Dabba-Kato and Arturo Ruiz got drafted specifically to Raw. And they really didn't go out of their way to build up anyone else other than Riddick Moss, who, only became known for being a glutton for punishment, going in, getting the shit kicked in by Braun Strowman 3 and 4 times a night. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. They didn't really use it to build any new talent. Dabba-Kato is the closest thing to it, and he got squashed by Braun Strowman in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I pretty much could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, when they announced that this was going on and that it was going to be canceled, this is just the latest instance in WWE pivoting and changing gears before something actually grows legs. But they did pick the best time to do it, given the fact that we are, done with the season premieres of Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Matt Michaels, you want to add to this, man? You thought they should have just killed it as well, or would you have liked to see it become something else?
It should have been its own show. It should have been WWE Underground, and they should have. Listen, the fact that they could have just basically chosen one part of whatever, arena or, some place to just have this standardized. They could have done this for 6 months now, and just not made it a part of Raw. that was one of the reasons that it was going to die a slow death, is because of the fact that the first night they hyped it up, they literally said the third hour of Raw was going to be Raw Underground. But then they would show you 3 minutes and, something, happening, and then go back to regular matches for another 20 minutes. And it's just like, okay, because you could have made this more adult themed, and it could have been dirtier and grimier and something that was utilized. I don't even think to make new stars, but to at least give talent who might not be as fluent in the ring some exposure, and just give them a chance to get some in front of camera work experience. The Brawl for All is it's just too an easy of a comparison. It's a cheap comparison, because Brawl for All, those guys were actually fucking beating the shit out of each other, literally. This, you could tell it was too, it was too protected still, because they were trying to combine pro wrestling and MMA style, and blood sport, natural born killers, the stuff that's been done on the independents, they've done it better.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's if this truly, and I don't think, from what I understood, it wasn't Vince's idea, it was Shane.
Shane.
That's what I was told.
Yeah. So for that to be the case, what are you going to do? I think that it should, it basically should have been Shotgun Saturday Night, but with shoot style fighting.
Yeah.
I would have been
I'd have been cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And literally put it on the network,
Yes.
live air, put it on the network at fucking 11 or 12 at
Exactly.
night.
Yeah.
Right after they get done,
With
doing
that,
Raw.
yeah. Finish
Yeah.
Raw and go straight into that.
So there you go.
You know what I will say this though, is we learned one thing about this article, that DJ Impact, for your next birthday, if it is all possible, we need to create an Underground Palomino birthday celebration for you. With wrestling, strippers on poles,
Okay.
smoking, and some, what did you call it? Dice games?
Dice games.
We need to have some dice games for your birthday, man.
Blow up tub with
Blow up tub. Because I'm serious, man. You have been a fan of Underground and been very vocal since day one. I have seen the joy in your face like a child on Christmas Day. So
get him some dice so he can shoot dice.
All right, you guys. I'll look forward to that.
Hey,
Let's jump
is Shane gonna be on TV? Let me ask you guys that.
yeah,
They may have done away with his brainchild, but is he gonna be on TV?
I hope so.
Yes or no?
I want him back on TV. I don't think I think he'll show up.
Michael?
When WrestleMania comes around or something like that, yeah.
Something high for him to jump off of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen the last of Shane McMahon. Don't worry.
There it is.
The purple face sweat monster will be back soon with the horrible punches.
Those punches are loaded. So is Shane.
Loaded.
That footwork, boy. That footwork is legendary.
Seriously, have him manage Avocado.
I'd be cool with that
That'd be
too.
cool. Yeah.
Because he is the last kind of survivor of Raw Underground. I could see that.
Yeah.
And we know that Shane can talk.
Davocado is going to be folded into what's that group's name? They weren't on TV. Whatever, those guys.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dark Order?
No.
Retribution.
Retribution. Yeah.
But he doesn't have a mask.
He don't need a mask.
Yeah. They won't be having one much longer either. T-bar.
All right, so we're going to jump over into our third count from healbynature.com. It is titled, Cody Rhodes say AEW Dynamite will not add a third hour. And it was been confirmed that All Elite Wrestling will not be adding that third hour, despite comments he recently made during an interview on ESPN. He spoke on plans to add more content following an announcement earlier this year that Warner Media has agreed to produce a weekly show. So apparently, I guess what is being looked at, it also says that in this past January, Warner Media and All Elite Wrestling announced a contract extension agreement to air Dynamite on TNT through 2023. And then the announcement also noted that AEW would launch a second weekly show. So, guys, what do you think about this? It's not going to be a third hour to Dynamite. Is that something, first off, do you think should have been maybe contemplating on happening versus adding a separate show? Or do you like the idea of a 1 hour separate show on a different channel like TBS or one of the Warner Media? So it's not going to be on TNT as well. What's your take on it?
So really quick, I do have to just chime in and say, as far as they're not going to be adding an hour to Dynamite, but AEW will be adding a third hour. So I just have to make that clear. They will be doing a third hour, but it's not going to be a third hour to Dynamite.
Well, that's what DJ just said.
Initially, when you were going over the title of the article, from what I heard you say that.
It said Cody Rhodes says AEW Dynamite would not add third hour.
Dynamite will not have a third hour, but
Correct.
AEW will. Yeah. I think that is really important because that will allow them to extend their brand reach to not just TNT, but also, in theory, TBS. They did extremely well in the Saturday time slot, I thought, when they had the Saturday Night Dynamite. So I would be on board with them doing a Saturday show for an hour. And obviously, you can draw your comparisons to WCW Saturday Night. Fuck it. Why not? Go ahead and just put the thing at 6 o'clock on TBS. Why not?
6:05.
6:05. Exactly. if we're splitting hairs. What would be cool is if they could get center stage. If they would just, run center stage, because that's where WCW Saturday Night ran every single week. But yeah, I think that it's very important. Something that Cody mentioned in his quote in the article, which was really important, was that, the word fresh, the word was fresh when we started. Let's recruit fresh. Let's look fresh. We have to continue to be fresh. Our opponent in this space was unopposed for 20 years. So I think that rings completely true. They need to not focus on WWE talent on whatever show that they're going to implement now. I would like to see them unofficially make this new show strictly homegrown talent or indie-based talent that has not been in WWE. I think that could go leaps and bounds to getting them over with the audience, and then not keep them as a separate universe or anything crazy, and eventually fold them into the mix on Dynamite once people can draw that emotional attachment and can get behind those characters.
Okay.
What's interesting is, and I agree with a lot of what you just said. Now thinking about it, wouldn't it be something to put Dark on Saturday night?
Well, so they want to keep Dark as well. So Dark is still going to be on their YouTube channel.
Maybe they flip the shows, because I think Dark has a lot of good matches, and maybe they do the one that you're talking about on YouTube, and then Dark is the one that goes on Saturday night. But either way, I think from the beginning, when I heard them announce this third hour, I thought that the weekend would be a perfect place for them to get in unopposed. There's nobody else running on the weekends. You look at all the wrestling, all through the week. So this is a good opportunity for them to run in a space where there's absolutely nobody, maybe a few, local promotions, whatever. But yeah, I think it is great. They run on Saturdays. Sundays is football, stuff like that. So Saturdays is probably the ideal day.
Simon Street, you want to add anything to that?
No, I'll definitely say with regards to AEW Dark, the way that I saw it when I read this article is something that I thought about it for a while. Anyways, I feel that Dynamite is the show. Obviously, AEW Dark is the pool as far as a good way of showcasing on a weekly basis to where we can always view independent talent that's coming in. This third show that's an hour, or let's put it that way, on a Saturday, which brilliant. Like everybody already said, perfect spot, is if they do it small package style, like it's small, like everything is I would say with the attention span of the new age, right? To where it's just fast paced. Whoever's from the pool, AEW Dark, before you have them be a regular mainstay on AEW Dynamite. That's what I envisioned as I was reading this, and I've even thought about it before. I think it would be very, 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 very important if they do it this way, because I think that if somebody's watching AEW Dark on a regular basis and they want to kind of see more of that person that they picked, they can watch this third hour per se that'll be on Saturday, and then they can probably gauge a little bit on this fresh talent, because I agree with Sin City Steve and also in this article where Cody said fresh talent, because the long road for AEW is cultivating fresh talent, not relying on ex-WWE people on a large scale like they've had to do. Let's be honest. They started out a year ago. They kind of had to. But that's not to say 7 years from now, if they're still around, which I think they could possibly, developing fresh talent. Because I feel that for the newer generation, for us in our age category per se, where wrestling is going to go, at least for helping out AEW's cause.
All right, Matt Michaels, what's your take, man? Third hour, another Warner Media channel. What's your take?
The sad truth is it probably goes to True TV. Honestly. The thing with True TV, and I've had experiences with them in the past, professionally. And the thing is that their bread and butter is a male audience. They're one of the few states still around that is male heavy dominated in the shows that they present. It's the perfect landing spot. If they put it on TBS, you're going to end up having to, just kind of deal with the regular bullshit that goes on with networks and programming. And, as soon as someone comes in who's a different person who doesn't like wrestling, then you're kind of fucked. True TV is the perfect place because you're cultivating an audience that potentially you can bring new eyes to. And that is when young males at 14, 15, 16 start watching that type of programming, then you get them right into AEW's product. In terms of, absolutely, you want to showcase as many new people as possible. But they also have to be smart in one aspect, and that is some of this talent that they've signed that had WWE experience, have them work that second show, that third hour of programming, in the sense that they can be the ones training that new talent. So we're not necessarily seeing two people that we're not very familiar with. Throw in someone that you're not pushing to the moon. That's not Moxley. But someone who, you got from the WWE, and that will give you a place where the talent can actually grow by facing people who have had experience in front of the cameras. Develop that way. The fact of the matter is that you have to make a decision to, are you going to put more programming on television, or are you going to pursue more programming through the internet? And honestly, I think that this is kind of a dated idea, putting on another television product. Stack up more of your internet and drive that, because essentially you got two choices. One, you try luring an audience that is already developed in their taste, right? But two, if you go after that internet audience with more programming, more diverse programming, more things that are you're able to make the GIFs and memes and, you know, make highlights and do things with, what you're trying to do is target the people who are in that age range of, you know, 12, 13, 14. You want to develop them into your fans. And if those kids aren't necessarily watching TV right now, what's the point of putting on a new hour when the only people who are going to be watching it are the same people who are already watching your product? So that's where they have to make a choice, because then that also means if they do another, you know, hour for television, you're putting more of Turner's money into it, the Warner Media money into it, because you're using their production staff, or, you know, their equipment, their guys shooting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So hell, you know, listen, being the elite got you a popularity. Make that kind of shit more prominent and sell that shit on your television show. That's what floors me, is that on their actual television product, there's really no, you know, mentions of or anything like that, which would drive eyeballs potentially to, you know, to that. So listen, they're always going to be in a tough situation because the WWE can do whatever they want. They have their own network.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, you know, if they want to put on a fucking Raw Underground After Dark, they can't. They just throw it on their network. And, you know, until AEW, I think AEW, you know, utilize Twitch or YouTube or whatever to make a substantial network essentially on their own without having an official network, because you don't have all that library for it. But it's going to be tough if they're expecting anything other than the same audience watching it.
Gotcha. All right. We'll call that hour 3 count for tonight. And we want to thank everyone who watched us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. We're on all of those platforms, and we appreciate it for you watching us, and also for those that tune in on our podcast, which we're available on every podcast, including Amazon's new podcast that recently started up. So with that, let's give our final thoughts of the show, and let's go over here to King Lucky, man. What would you like all the fans and everyone to know?
Thank everybody for listening, downloading the app. Your support domestically, internationally has been wonderful. So thank you guys.
No doubt. Simon Street.
Thank everybody for continue to support us and show up. And, you know, also too, for those who are supporting, I know a lot of y'all do it. Tell your friends about us.
Okay. Looked like he froze or something. Sin City Steve.
Thank you guys for obviously checking out the show, hanging out with us in the chat. And also to all of the armed forces, men and women serving our country. Thank you for everything that you do. Namely to our boy, the Storm and Mormon. Take care, stay safe. and repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there. They've got all sorts of wellness products for you. Drinks, pre-workouts, weight loss, you name it, they've got it. And check out with promo code Vegas at checkout. Save yourself 15%. Thanks, guys.
No doubt. Matt Michaels.
So at the end of last week, the Fatu family lost the patriarch of the family. Rikishi's dad passed away. So it's been a tough week for, everyone who's part of the family, part of Knox Pro Wrestling, everyone who, and Lord knows there are so many people who have been touched by this family in the wrestling world in general, that it kind of gets overlooked when you talk about the Rock's family. You always focus in on Rocky Johnson and Peter Maivia, but on Rikishi, his dad was not a wrestler. So he doesn't get all this publicity or this history book, but the dude was a really nice, sweet man, and raised a really good person in Rikishi and great, wonderful grandchildren. And we just hope that as the chapter turns now to new members of the family stepping up and becoming the tribal leaders, that they have as much success continuing the traditions that are brought by your elders. And he will be someone who is missed by the family, I'm sure, but I think that it's secure in saying that the family learned a lot, and will take the family dynasty to the next generation, knowing that it's in good hands with the stories and everything being passed on. So it's sometimes it's sad to be looking over your social media and see that someone has passed away, and yet you got to look at it as hard as it is. You have to look at the bright side and know that there is a future there, and that past, that life, you pass it on to generations so they know about it. And just hopefully we see more great things from the family in the future. And what can you say? I mean, look at Jay, man. He's about to go into Hell in a Cell with Roman, and that's like literally, it would be awesome if Vince really kind of focused in on the fact that would kind of be just a reward to the family to put the belt on Jade. That would be amazing. I think we all agree that's probably not going to happen, but what a time to do it. Like, I don't, why not? Doesn't have to be for a long run. Look, Kurt Angle got the title right after September 11th, and it was something that was to uplift, and do a very patriotic thing. And within a month, the belt was off them. So
yeah,
it'd be nice. But hopefully going into this Hell in a Cell, you look at that motivation and the family, legacy and everything. This could potentially be one of the best matches you'll ever see.
Absolutely. Guys, just keep positive thoughts in the for the family, and if you also believe in prayer, by all means send prayers their way also. So thank you for that, Matt Michaels. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, listening to us, no matter if it's our live feed broadcast or our podcast. We appreciate you for listening or watching us. All right, and until next week, don't forget, if you're gonna watch Helen, we're gonna be on live some of us or all of us. It's going to be great to have you there just to chat with us. So join us next Sunday for the pay-per-view. Then who knows? Maybe we'll see a Jay win. You never know. Just never know. All right. Until then, we'll see you.